Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate. To every man upon this earth, death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods?
Marisol dialed Callie's cell phone number, and Akira picked up on the other end. "First two are prepped and ready for you," Marisol said. "I'm on my way now," Akira replied. "I can sense someone on the roof, coming down to you." "Behind us!" Callie yelled. A cascade of freezing water fell down a nearby staircase before reforming into a human shape. "Ushka!" Blake yelled. "It's the Water Witch!" The Water Witch raised her dowsing rod, but before she could make another move, Trig was on her. He conjured a psionic construct, a shimmering wall of purple light that held back Ushka's next assault. "Lady, I've got nothing against you, but if you're not going to back off, then you'll have to fight me," Trig said. Callie turned to the rest of the team. "Where's Akira? She should have gotten here by now." Akira was just outside of the Paradox building, mere feet away from the lobby door, when she was intercepted. "Stay where you are!" Vetu shouted. Akira turned on the spot and dodged an incoming Psylance. Telekinetic force tore up pieces of pavement and ice before sending them flying. To her left, Akira could see Malum and Sebakira fighting. The old lioness was projecting a cone of soulfire toward Malum, but he had used his own power to freeze her assault in midair. Vetu appeared, descending from the sky bridge and landing with far less force than her master. "You're going to regret going against the man you love," Vetu said. Psionic energy rippled and crackled around her. "Oh, really?" Akira snickered. "Where is Rafi Bakir? How about Hakara Tamihana? Is he here as well?" "Oh, or maybe you're talking about Kyle Bradshaw or Emmanuel Espinosa? Blake gave me quite a few love interests over the years, you know. But Malum? No, that wasn't love. It never was. Let me show you what it's like to feel genuine emotion, Vetu. How about we start with fear?" Akira's attack came so fast that Vetu never had a chance to defend herself. An arc wave, a pulse of psionic energy traveling along the ground, struck her. Vetu jumped in surprise, losing focus. A moment later, Akira used telepathy to penetrate Vetu's mind. Thinking hard, Akira searched her own memory, trying to remember just what Vetu was most afraid of, and then she found it. Vetu opened her eyes and screamed in terror. She was surrounded by phantoms visible only to herself. They were ghostly images of her friends and family, left behind in her own story. They accused Vetu of failing in her mission, saying that because of Vetu, everyone in her town was going to die of starvation. Akira moved around to Vetu's side. The young Partogan was so distracted she had lost track of her enemy. Akira took a deep breath, trying to refocus her mind. She was going to break Vetu out of Malum's power now, then move into the building to get Dak and Mocha. "You!" Malum's shout broke glass and rattled cars. He had spotted Akira. She looked around and saw that Sebakira was on the ground, burned by her own soulfire attack. Malum aimed his Venbrace at Akira. 6 constructs of purple light emerged from the pavement in front of Akira. Malum had conjured spectral warriors to fight for him. "Using my own psionic weapon now, Ralpakin?" Akira said. "Losing confidence in your own powers?" "You dare to doubt?" Malum was incensed. 6 more spectral warriors rose from the ground. Akira was surrounded by translucent figures. She tilted her head back and let out her old villainous cackle. "I should thank you," Akira said. "I haven't gotten to do this in a long time." All 12 of the spectral warriors moved to attack. Akira pointed her palm toward the sky, where dark clouds began to rumble dangerously. Then, Just as the first of the spectral warriors got close enough to touch Akira, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky and struck it. A thunderclap shook Stockholm like an earthquake. Then came 3 more, followed by another salvo. Each blast was enough to blind and deafen those nearby. Akira kept up the pressure, feeding all of her focus into the ionic storm, expanding her attack radius to hit not just the spectral warriors, but Malum and Vetu as well. Pushing out further, Akira realized she managed to hit someone all the way out at Rothelman Island, but she had no idea who. A moment later, a second, third, and fourth blast of lightning blasted the space in front of Akira. Malum was being hit over and over and over again. Concrete and dirt flew into the air with each successive strike. "I've got you, you son of a bitch!" Akira screamed. "Die! Die already!" All of the spectral warriors were gone, blasted into harmless vapor. Akira refocused herself one last time and struck Malum with 2 more lightning bolts. Smoke curled up from the body of the great Khan as he keeled over and slumped to the ground. For about 1.5 seconds, Akira could see the body of Malum Ralpakin. He was dead. Clearly, plainly, obviously dead. And then Malum's body began to glow, emitting a bright purple light. "No!" Akira screamed. "No, no, no, no!" Akira tried to conjure soul fire in her hands, but she was unfocused and could not do it before Malum's body faded away. Instead, Akira projected a frantic telepathic message to her allies. "Malum has a sarcophagus somewhere!" Varian, Callie, Blake, Marisol, and all 6 members of Callie's SWAT team were now inside of the Paradox HQ lobby. The team was using the heavy counter of the receptionist's desk for cover. Callie herself was hiding behind a statue of a wizard clad in yellow robes. As soon as Akira's warning reached them, they all froze and looked at Blake. "Sarcophagus? That thing from the Stormbreakers?" Callie asked. Blake nodded. "That means we can't kill Malum. Full stop," Blake said. "He'll just come back to life, fully healed and ready for another fight. We've got to find the sarcophagus and smash it." "Smash it?" Trig asked. "They're giant slabs of Valerium," Blake said. "Any gun will break those things." Varian and Callie took the magnetic rifles Dak and Mocha were using. "Zip tie them," Callie said, gesturing at her husband and sister-in-law. "Akira might not—" "Akira's here!" a panting voice called out. Akira stumbled into the lobby, carrying the unconscious form of Vetu. "Someone cover me while I work on these guys," Akira said. "And where's Trig?" "He went ahead, pushing Ushka deeper into the building," Blake said. "Someone go after him," Akira gasped. "Malum said he was going to build his new sanctum in here. That means his sarcophagus is somewhere in the building. Someone will be guarding it." "Fuck, that'll be either Tenna or Cassandra," Marisol said. "Callie, we need anti-psionic weapons." 2 members of Callie's team stepped forward. Marisol was given a satchel full of modified flashbang grenades. Blake also received a satchel. Plus, he was also given... "The musket? Are you serious?" Blake said, looking at the antiquated weapon. "You want a better weapon? The armory is in another building, and we don't have time," Callie snapped. "I'll stay with Akira. Varian, take a team and go after Trig." Marisol pulled the satchel straps around her waist and palmed one of the modified flashbangs. Right as she was about to leave the lobby, Marisol noticed a message painted in white lettering on the black surface of the doorframe. "You must gather your party before venturing forth." Looking around, Marisol realized that there were nerdy and geeky slogans displayed prominently throughout the building. She quickly found her favorite. "A patch is never late. A patch arrives precisely when it's meant to." "Well, these are video game developers," Marisol told herself. Trig had figured out Ushka. All of her powers seemed to be based on water, meaning he had a much deeper well of options to draw from when fighting her. Trig made sure to keep a telekinetic shield up at all times, because Ushka was trying to drain all of the water from his body. Refusing to give her the opening, Trig pushed the water witch back, advancing and forcing her back through the sheer force of will. Ushka became frantic, flooding corridors and passageways, sending torrents of debris toward Trig to no avail. Trig and Ushka emerged into a large communal workspace where nearly a dozen computers were arranged on long tables. A nearby marker board contained a hastily written invitation to a party. Stellaris Dev Team Social Hour tonight, BYOB. Bring your own batleth. A chain-link fence rose from floor to ceiling, separating the workspace from the next-door break area. Trig reached out and summoned the fence to him with telekinesis. It broke free and skidded across the soggy carpet until it caught Ushka from behind. She lost her footing and fell. For a short, tense moment, Ushka was pinned, trapped between Trig's telekinetic field and the chain-link fence. She raised her dowsing rod and launched a continuous spray of cold water at Trig, blasting with the force and intensity of a fire hose. She tried to break through his shield, but after a few moments, the stream lost power and died away. Ushka let out a pained gasp as her eye color faded to gray. At the same moment, the floor gave up under the weight of the deluge Ushka had conjured. The floor collapsed, dumping the workspace, thousands of gallons of freezing water, and Ushka herself into the cafeteria below. "Ushka, are you all right?" a female voice called out from deeper inside the building. And then, Tenna stepped out from behind a doorway. At the far end of the Paradox Development Studio workspace, there was a very large executive conference room. The actual conference table was not visible through the glass wall. A huge slab of Valerium had been placed atop it, while a large and familiar-looking chair was positioned at the spot where the CEO of Paradox would normally take his place. It was the psionic sarcophagus and the Khan's throne. Tenna was guarding them. As the floor collapsed, sending Ushka down below, Tenna and Trig stared at each other across the chasm. Windows on either side of the office shattered, allowing a rapidly forming blizzard to enter. "Tenna," Trig said, I came to save you." Tenna's expression softened. Trig was not sure, but he could have sworn he saw a trace of water in her amber eyes. For a brief moment, both teenagers remembered the very brief romantic connection they once shared. It felt so long ago now. "I'm sorry, Trig," she said, her voice shaking. "I've chosen my side. I can't go back, even if I wanted to." A brilliant light illuminated the wrecked office. Tenna was suddenly nothing but a silhouette in Trig's view. The sarcophagus projected light in all directions for a few moments, and then dimmed. Malum Ralpakin was now seated on his throne, restored to full health and power. He rose and spotted Trig. "I have nothing to say to you, boy," Malum said. "You wounded me in battle. For that, I shall grant you the courtesy of a quick and painless death." A jet of purple light sailed across the chasm. Trig started to raise his hand to defend himself, but it was not necessary. The beam struck a translucent barrier in midair, which shattered like glass as it took the full brunt of the blast. Trig looked around just in time to see a peregrine falcon dive into the wrecked office, drawing its claws across Malum's face as it went. Psionic energy enveloped the bird, which came around for another pass. Malum screamed in rage, his face bloody. "Aisling!" Trig yelled. "I thought—" He did not finish his sentence. Trig quickly moved to close off his mind, to purge all thought about how Aisling was in the wrong place. She was not supposed to be here. She was supposed to be attacking the broken gate with Conti and Mina and Emily. Aisling folded her wings and dove on Malum again, but this time the great Khan was ready. He jumped into the chasm, landing in the wreckage of the cafeteria below. Aisling shot past Malum, flying deeper into the office, no doubt looking for the rest of Team Marisol. Malum started to give chase, causing Trig to react. A telekinetic force held him in place. Tenna had moved as soon as he looked away from her, and now Trig was caught in a void conduit. Semi-transparent tendrils reached up from the floor and wrapped themselves around his legs. "Stay down, Trig," Tenna said. "I don't want to hurt you, and you can join us after Malum takes over." "We're past that point, Tenna," Trig responded. "We're way past that point." An inferno of soul fire erupted around Trig. Far too late, the fire suppression system activated, dousing both fighters. Blue flames danced around the shattered office and burned away the psionic appendages holding Trig. He projected his power across the chasm, a shimmering column of white light. Tenna raised her own defenses, but Trig's resolve was stronger. He broke into Tenna's mind with the force of a wrecking ball, causing her to stagger. Trig held Tenna in place, wrapping telekinetic energies around her arms and neck. Trig had no idea how Akira had managed to free Mina from Malum's influence, but ever since coming to the real world, he had developed a knack for figuring out psionic techniques on the fly. He was going to do it now. In spite of everything that had happened, Trig still loved Tenna. Desperate, knowing he had only moments, Trig ransacked Tenna's mind, looking for the connection to Malum Ralpakin. Every time Trig found the mental concept of the Great Khan, he followed it, trying to see if it led out of Tenna's mind, and therefore back to Malum. But there was none. No telltale strands of mind control, no evidence of telepathic manipulation, no hallmarks of domination. Tenna was not under Malum's control. There were faint traces of his presence in her subconscious mind, but they were old. She had either broken free or been released. Instead of what he was expecting, Trig found something else in Tenna's mind. A deep, dark desolation. "Yeah," Tenna said aloud, her voice strained by the mental invasion. "That's what you think it is." Tenna clenched her fists, celestial gauntlets crackling as they came online. "Despair," Trig breathed. "But why?" "I betrayed the only boy I ever loved." Tenna's voice was shaking. "I thought I could find real purpose and happiness with the Great Khan, with your father." Trig could perceive a sea of emotions rolling through Tenna's mind as she told her story. "At first, I was happy. I was in love with Malum. It was real love, too, not that fake feeling you can induce with psionics. I thought I was something important to him. A lover, a confidant, maybe even a friend. But I was wrong. I was so very wrong. He used me. He only saw me as a minion that moonlights as a concubine." Tears welled up in Tenna's eyes. "And I can't go back." Tenna raised her voice. "I can't go back to you because I know what you and the others will do to me then. It's less than I deserve." Tenna's willpower began to boil over. Behind it, Trig could finally see what he was looking for. There was a psionic echo, a faint imprint Malum left behind, tied directly to Tenna's mental willpower. She was free of Malum's direct control, but not his influence. Tenna was fighting back, resisting Trig's mental invasion. He was about to be forced out of her mind. "I threw away my future on a selfish gamble," Tenna said, "and this is my reward. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. That's what you found in my mind, Trig. Despair. I feel nothing but despair. It's all I have left." Tenna ejected Trig from her mind and activated her celestial gauntlets. She launched herself across the chasm and began to attack.